My name is Skylar Young, and I never thought I'd be the villain in my own home. One humid Atlanta evening, as the cicadas hummed outside, my sister-in-law, Sasha, stormed into our dining room, her designer purse swinging like a weapon. "Skylar, you need to pack up and go," she said, her voice dripping with disdain. "People who lounge at home all day don't belong in a house like this. Find some cheap apartment downtown." My jaw dropped. This was my house, the one I'd poured my heart and savings into. But my husband, Travis, just leaned back in his chair, smirking, while his parents, Clara and Vernon, nodded like Sasha had preached gospel. I'm a software engineer, 34, working remotely for a tech startup that's changing the game in Atlanta's booming tech scene. My days are filled with coding, virtual meetings, and deadlines that keep my brain buzzing. But to Sasha, Travis, and his parents, I'm just playing on my computer. They don't get remote work. Never have. To them, if you're not punching a clock in some office, you're lazy. And that evening, as Sasha's words hung in the air, I realized they'd been whispering about me for weeks. Convinced Travis was the hero who built this sprawling suburban house we all shared. The truth: I paid the $7,500 monthly mortgage every single month. The down payment came from my savings scraped together after years of grinding through grief. My parents died in a car accident when I was 28, leaving me unmed with no siblings to lean on. Their life insurance gave me a nest egg, which I invested quietly, turning it into millions. I never told Travis or his family. They'd have seen dollar signs. Not me. Instead, I used my salary to cover our bills, letting Travis save his paycheck from his maintenance job at an office park. He loved the arrangement. But somewhere along the way, he started spinning lies, telling everyone he built this house. That night, as Sasha smirked and Clara muttered about my laziness, I felt my chest tighten. I'd built a life here, hoping to honor my parents' memory by creating a family with Travis. But now, surrounded by people who saw me as a freeloader, I felt like an outsider in my own home. Travis's silence stung the most. He could have told them the truth, but he just watched, amused as his sister tried to shove me out. I wanted to scream, to tell them I was the one keeping this house afloat. But their eyes were cold, unyielding. That's when a spark of anger flared inside me. If they wanted me gone, fine. But they'd soon learn what happens when you bite the hand that pays the bills. So I met Travis in the darkest season of my life. It was a rainy afternoon in Atlanta, and I was standing in the hallway of my old office, staring out a window, trying to hide the tears welling up. My parents had just died, their car skidding off a slick highway one night, and the grief hit me in waves. I was 28, alone, with no family to call my own. Travis, a maintenance worker who cleaned our office park, noticed me. I'd seen him before, tall with a warm smile, but we'd never spoken. "You okay?" he asked, his voice gentle. I don't know why, but I spilled everything. My parents, the accident, the emptiness. He listened, his eyes kind, and said he was close to his own parents, Clara and Vernon. "Can't imagine losing them," he said. "You're strong for carrying this." After that, we started chatting whenever he was in the building. Small talk turned into coffee breaks, then dinners at hole-in-the-wall barbecue joints in Atlanta. Travis was easy to be around. He didn't push me to get over my grief. Just let me be. Within months, we were dating, and he introduced me to Clara and Vernon, who welcomed me like a daughter. They knew about my loss and invited me to their cozy Decatur home. 4 Sunday dinners, filling a void I thought would never close. Travis and I got married a year later. No fancy proposal, just a quiet agreement that we were better together. We rented a small apartment near his parents, and life felt possible again. That I quit my office job and took a remote role at a tech startup, wanting flexibility in case we had kids someday. My salary stayed the same, so I offered to cover our bills, rent, groceries, utilities, while Travis saved his paycheck. He worked hard but earned less, and I didn't mind. You're good with money, he'd say, grinning. I trust you. Thought we were a team, but Travis never really got what I did. To him, my job was just typing on a laptop. He'd come home from his shift, see me on Zoom calls, and joke, must be nice. Chilling all day. I'd laugh it off, but the comments started to pile up like pebbles in my shoe. Things shifted when Clara and Vernon's Decatur home was destroyed in a flood. They were unharmed, thank God, but lost everything. Photos, heirlooms, memories. For weeks, they stayed in our cramped apartment, their faces heavy with loss. I cooked for them, cleaned, tried to make them smile, remembering how they'd helped me through my own pain. But they kept apologizing, saying they didn't want to burden us. Travis and I talked it over one night, and I suggested we build a house big enough for all of us. I'd been saving for years, separate from our joint account, and thought a mortgage made sense. Travis agreed, and Clara and Vernon lit up at the idea. We found a lot in a quiet Atlanta suburb and started planning. I didn't know then that Travis was already rewriting our story, telling everyone he was the one making it happen. Building the house was supposed to bring us closer, but it cracked us apart. The house was my idea. A modern 2-story with big windows and a wraparound porch, perfect for family gatherings. I put down the deposit for my savings and took out a mortgage in my name, knowing my tech job could handle the $7,500 monthly payments. Clara and Vernon wanted features like a walk-in shower for their aging knees, and Travis insisted on a home theater, saying, if we're doing this, let's do it right. The costs ballooned, but I agreed, thinking we'd live there forever. What I didn't expect was Travis taking credit for it all. He bragged to Clara and Vernon, saying, I'm building y'all a palace. They'd beam, thanking him at every turn, while I sat there, my contributions invisible. I asked Travis to stop, saying, just tell them I'm paying for it. He'd wave me off. It's not a big deal, Skylar. Let me have this. But it was a big deal. Clara and Vernon started dropping hints, saying I should be grateful to Travis for letting me live in his house. I bite my tongue, not wanting to hurt their feelings, but the resentment grew. Then I caught Travis lying outright. He told his parents he worked at my old tech company, not as a maintenance worker, but as some corporate hotshot. Overheard him one night spinning tales about meetings he never attended. When I confronted him, he shrugged. It's just talk, Skylar. They're proud of me. But those lies painted me as the leech. Clara and Vernon, who'd once been so kind, started eyeing me with suspicion, like I was freeloading off their golden boy. When we moved into the house, their attitude hardened. They didn't get remote work. Thought I was goofing off because I wasn't commuting. Clara would barge into my home office mid-Zoom call, saying, Skylar, the dishes won't wash themselves. Vernon would grumble, Travis works so hard and you're just sitting here. Travis didn't correct them. He'd complain to them instead, saying I was always on that damn laptop. I started working at coffee shops in Midtown just to escape their jabs. Begged Travis to tell them the truth, that my salary paid for their lifestyle. But he'd snap. Let it go, Skylar. They're old school. Then Sasha showed up. She'd been living in Miami, supposedly crushing it as an event planner, but rolled into town with stories of quitting her job to chase her dreams. Clara and Vernon fawned over her, and she wasted no time targeting me. Skylar's just playing games on her computer all day, she'd say loud enough for me to hear. She even spread a lie that I was a cleaner at Travis's company, flipping our roles to make me look pathetic. I wanted to scream the truth, but they'd never believe me over their precious Travis. Every dinner I'd cook for them, then eat alone in my room, while they laughed at the table. Sasha's voice the loudest. I was drowning in my own home, and nobody cared that I hit my breaking point one sticky summer night. Sasha had been living with us for a week, turning my life upside down. Taken over the guest room. But that wasn't enough. Over dinner, she leaned across the table, her eyes glinting. Skylar, I'm staying here for good. Said, this house is too nice for someone who doesn't even work. You should move out. Get a studio. Somewhere. Clara clapped her hands, saying, that's a great idea. You're home all day, Skylar doing nothing. Vernon nodded. And Travis, he just chuckled like it was a joke that I stood, my chair scraping the floor. This is my house, I said, my voice shaking. Paid the down payment. I pay the $7,500 mortgage every month. My salary covers every bill in this place. The room went quiet, but only for a second. Sasha snorted. That's a lie. Travis built this house. Clara and Vernon chimed in, calling me ungrateful, delusional. Travis's face flushed, but instead of backing me, he yelled, stop making stuff up, Skylar. He pulled out divorce papers already filled out and slammed them on the table. Sign these or get in line. I stared at those papers, my heart pounding. I'd been bending over backward 4 years, paying for their lives, swallowing their insults. And now this. I thought of my parents, how they'd raised me to stand tall. And something snapped. If they wanted me gone, I'd go. But not quietly. Fine, I said, my voice steady now. I'll sign and I'll put the house and mortgage in Travis's name. His eyes lit up, thinking he'd won. He had no idea what was coming. That I spent the next week planning. I met with a lawyer to start the divorce and a bank officer to transfer the mortgage. Travis hated the meetings, whining about the boring details. He'd scroll on his phone while I listened to the bank explain the $7,500 monthly payments he'd owe. Just tell me where to sign, he'd say, grinning like he was inheriting a fortune. I warned him. Travis, this mortgage is huge. You sure you can handle it? He laughed. Got this, Skylar. I nodded, hiding my smile. He hadn't listened to a word. The day I signed the papers, I felt a weight lift. Travis was practically dancing, telling Clara, Vernon, and Sasha, the house is mine now. They cheered, already planning a celebration trip to the Bahamas. Move out while we're gone, Travis said, tossing me a smug look. Didn't argue. I started packing, but not the way they thought. Every piece of furniture, every appliance I'd bought. With my money, I sold it all. The couch, the fridge, the dining tableware. They'd mocked me. By the time they left for their trip, the house was half empty, and I was gone. I didn't just leave. Started over. With the divorce finalized, and the house off my shoulders, I used my investment millions to buy a Penthouse condo in downtown Atlanta, Florida to ceiling windows, a sleek kitchen, a balcony overlooking the city. Skyline. It was everything the old house wasn't. I'd spent years decorating that house to Clara and Vernon's tastes. Oh. Neutral tones and floral curtains. This condo, it was mine. Bold colors, modern art, a cozy nook for my coding setup. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. I'd kept my investment secret, even from Travis. After my parents died, their life insurance gave me a lump sum, and I'd funneled it into stocks and real estate, learning the ropes through late-night research. It was my safety net, my dream of an early retirement with Travis. But he'd shown his true colors, and I was glad I never told him. If Clara, Vernon, or Sasha had known, they'd have clawed it like vultures. Instead, I used it to build a life they couldn't touch. I settled into my condo, joining a yoga studio in Midtown, and signing up for a cooking class at a local market. My neighbors were artists, entrepreneurs, people who didn't judge me for working from home. I'd sip coffee on my balcony, watching the city wake up and feel a peace I hadn't known in years. The stress of living with Travis's family, their snide remarks, their endless demands melted away. I was free, and it felt like a gift. Meanwhile, Travis and his family were off on their Bahamas trip, oblivious to the storm waiting for them. I didn't hear from them until the night they got back. My phone buzzed as I was unwinding with a glass of wine, and Travis's name flashed on the screen. Almost ignored it, but curiosity won. "Skylar, where's the furniture?" he shouted. "The fridge, the TV. Where's my stuff?" I leaned back, smiling. "I sold it, Travis. I paid for it, so it was mine to sell. You're a big shot now." "Your own," he sputtered, demanding I replace everything, but I cut him off. "You wanted the house. It's all yours." Then I hung up, blocking his number for the night. I'd spent years carrying their weight. Not anymore. A month later, Travis called again. I was heading home from yoga, my muscles loose, and my mind clear when his number popped up. I answered, thinking it might be about leftover divorce paperwork. Instead, he was screaming, "What the hell, Skylar? $7,500 a month for the house." I stopped on the sidewalk, a laugh bubbling up. He'd finally opened a mortgage statement. "The bank explained it, Travis," I said. "You signed the papers," he shouted. "Thought the loan was paid off." "What? Didn't you tell me?" I rolled my eyes. "I did. You were too busy playing on your phone to listen." He kept ranting, saying Clara and Vernon's flood insurance should have covered it, but I shut him down. "That house cost millions. Travis, you thought it was free." He went quiet, then tried a new tack. "Can't you help? Just pay a few months till I figure out." I pictured him in that half-empty house, Clara and Vernon bickering, Sasha scheming. "No," I said, "you wanted to be the big man. Handle it." Before he could beg, I added, "By the way, I'm in a luxury condo now. Investments paid off." His silence was sweeter than any apology. Travis kept calling over the next few weeks, each time more desperate. I ignored most, but one voicemail slipped through. "Skylar, please," he said, his voice cracking. "The bank's sending notices." "What do I do?" I didn't call back. He'd made his bed, and I wasn't tucking him in. Focused on my life, coding for my startup, perfecting my jerk chicken recipe, hosting game nights with my neighbors. Atlanta felt alive, and so did I. But Travis's world was crumbling. I heard through a mutual friend that he'd ignored the bank's warnings. thinking someone else would handle the mortgage. Clara and Vernon had blown their savings on that Bahamas trip, expecting Travis to foot their bills. Sasha, who'd bragged about her Miami success, was hiding a secret. She'd been fired for stealing from her company, using the cash to fund her club hopping lifestyle. Travis, meanwhile, had burned through his savings, pretending to be a corporate star. They were all pointing fingers, but none of them could pay. The house was seized a few months later. Got the full story from that mutual friend who lived near Travis's old neighborhood. The bank had sent warning after warning, but Travis, Clara, Vernon, and Sasha ignored them, each assuming someone else would magically fix it. When a final notice demanded the full loan balance, they did nothing. An enforcement officer showed up announcing the house would be auctioned. Travis called me that day, his voice frantic. Skylar, they're taking the house. Can't you pay it off? You've got that condo money. I was in my condo chopping vegetables for a cooking class recipe when he called. Travis, I said, you signed for that mortgage. It's your problem. He begged, saying Clara and Vernon were broke. Sasha was jobless and he couldn't cover it. Pull your savings together, I suggested, knowing they had none. He admitted they'd seen the notices but ignored them, thinking I'd bail them out. We're strangers now, I said. Figure it out. In the background, I heard Clara and Vernon yelling at the officer, Sasha sobbing. Travis joined them, cursing me as a scammer. I hung up, my hands steady on the knife there. Lies caught up fast. Clara and Vernon had banked on Travis's big job, not knowing he was a maintenance worker, scraping by. Sasha's embezzlement scandal followed her to Atlanta, making her unhireable. Travis had spent his savings keeping up his fake corporate image, buying rounds at bars, and gifting Sasha designer bags. When the house was auctioned, they moved into a run-down apartment in a rough part of town. My friend said it was cramped with roaches crawling out at night. Clara and Sasha fought constantly, their screams earning neighbor complaints. Then came the fist fight. Travis and Vernon got into it one night, blaming each other for the mess. Sasha and Clara tried to break it up, but it spilled into the street. A neighbor called the cops and all four were arrested, bruised, and humiliated. The story hit the local news, and Travis's co-workers started whispering. He kept his job, but was on thin ice, stuck working to support his family in that bug-infested apartment. They tried job hunting, but Clara and Vernon clashed with bosses, and Sasha's past kept her out of work. They were trapped, living off Travis's paycheck, their pride and tatters. I've never felt more alive than I do now. My condo's my sanctuary, filled with laughter from friends who don't judge me for coding in my pajamas. I'm mastering yoga poses, grilling shrimp tacos for my neighbors, and planning a solo trip to Savannah to wander its historic streets. Atlanta's my home, but I'm finally living for me. Travis and his family. They're a faint memory, like a bad dream that fades by. Breakfast. I heard Travis was asking around trying to find my address, but my building's concierge shuts down strangers. My friends keep me posted, warning me to stay sharp, but I'm not scared. I've built a life they can't touch. Looking back, I see how I let Travis's family dim my light. I stayed quiet to keep the peace, paid their bills to feel needed, loved. But love doesn't demand you shrink yourself. Leaving that house, signing those papers was the hardest thing I've ever done, and the best. Reclaimed my voice, my truth, my life. Travis, Clara, Vernon, Sasha. They're reaping what they sowed, blaming each other in that crumbling apartment. Don't wish them harm, but I don't carry their weight anymore. My parents' memory lives in me, in the courage I found to walk away. Otto, everyone who's followed my story, thank you. You've been with me through betrayal, heartbreak, and a hard-won victory. If this resonated, hit that subscribe button and join our community, where every story is a spark of truth, resilience, and rebirth. Keep carving your own path, and I'll meet you at the finish line.